Hi everyone. So I'm gonna go over the three steps that would that we'd handle a sporting event on site, and because I'm familiar with high school, more of the high school scene with football and track, I kind of chose to stay around a facility like that since I've visited a bunch of high school facilities and watched several football games. So as Fried mentioned, security, the definition, safeguarding security of persons. So I think, as Fried mentioned, also ingress, how we make it safer to move patrons into the event. Oftentimes when I get to certain high schools, there's no signs of where the entry's at, because oftentimes gates are locked. So as several schools are arriving to a facility on a high school, everything gets packed because people are confused. And, at the end of the chapter, Fried mentioned, exiting a facility should be a process rather than a series of random acts. So it becomes a random act when people are just lost and confused as to where to go. So if there were proper signs, describing what direction to head or how far it is, the flow can be a lot easier. And then once the event is actually moving through, just having proper security, I think, on the railings, because that's oftentimes where people have issues, because the site, I've been at events where I've witnessed, spectators going up to other spectators because they're in the way or they can't see what's going on. And so just preventing confrontation like that is a security issue that could be prevented by having either volunteers or security kind of just going up and down the aisleways as described in the text. Also, security at gates, basic, having trained professionals, obviously, just kind of making sure that they're not walking in with anything that can be used as an object to hit or throw anyone. And another issue, I think, as I mentioned earlier, just exiting. So if we're coming into the facility, we want to know how to get in, and we also want to know how to get out, because we've been at facilities also where we're trying to find an exit because they lock certain gates, but there's no signs stating that they're locked. So then you get a big crowd of people just stuck in one area when the flow could be moving through. Like the movement theory, which I found interesting, the density, the speed, and the flow. So, and also at the same time as people are exiting the event, I believe if I had enough on-site staff, probably shift some security to the parking lot, because that's where a lot of people are exiting. That way you can, have smooth flow, exiting the facility, and also be prepared for heart attacks, as mentioned, that they can happen at any time with anybody, uh, especially in our area. I mean, we're at 115-degree weather sometimes most of the summer. Not that we're having events at that time, but throughout the spring when we're either training or for practice, or if we have events at other high schools, or if we're attending another event, temperatures can get up to 110. That's we live in the desert here in Indio, California. So just having proper first aid training for all volunteers. I believe all volunteers involved should know ahead of time, or if posted, that they should be first aid trained. Uh, and then the other issue that I find oftentimes with especially in the high schools is only sometimes only one individual has keys to, let's say, certain areas like restrooms or gates that need to be unlocked. I think having a couple people on site, with certain keys to access certain areas so that people don't have to wait around. I mean, you just don't want people to be all in one spot, uh, which could cause, people could be agitated at a certain point. Um, and then also, another issue that becomes a security issue is when the concession stands at certain events don't have food ready, or their food hasn't gotten there, if they outsource the food that they're getting, and that oftentimes becomes an issue. So I think just management and preparation for the event itself and how many people they anticipate on being there. I believe that issue falls on management and whoever's in charge of running that certain concession stand. Because if you have 100 people lined up and there's only two lines open, and then you don't have the food yet, you can lose a good percentage of that amount of people for the profit that you intended to make, or you can cause issues, especially if it's a hot day and, people are thirsty, they don't have water. Now you're bringing in more liabilities of dehydration. I mean, so there's just a lot of issues linked uh, with just being prepared and being ready to take on the amount of people that are attending the event. And security becomes an issue when people become agitated and you have groups of people just hungry, thirsty, whatever it may be. So, and I think those were all my key points that I believe, how different situations would be handled at an event. More specifically, a sporting event like a high school facility, football game, or track meet, soccer game, etc. So, thank you.